Hi guys, welcome to lesson 6.2, solving systems of equations by substitution. Our standards or our objectives for today is that we are going to be able to solve a system of two linear equations in two variables by using substitution. So, substitution method, what we need to do is solve one equation for one of the variables and substitute it into the other equation. All right. So using substitution, the first step is going to be to identify if one of our equations is already solved for one variable, and if it is, we are going to use that to substitute into the other equation. So in our system here, we have y equals 4x minus 1 and 2x plus 2y equals 3. And I can see that this y is all by itself, so we're already solved for one variable. And we are going to take that piece right there and we are going to put it in place of the letter y right there. So we're taking y out and we're going to put 4x minus 1 in its place. So when we rewrite our equation, we're going to solve it and we're going to input what y is equal to. So we have 2x plus 2 times the quantity. The letter y comes out and we get 4x minus 1 in its place is equal to 3. When you do substitution, after you've substituted, there should be only one variable in your equation. In this case, we only have x's left. The y's are gone. So you can think of this like money. We took out a $1 bill and we put in 4 quarters in its place. All right, so what we need to do is we need to solve this equation for x, and we've got distribution first. We're going to do 2 times 4x and 2 times negative 1, so 2x plus 8x minus 2 equals 3. Our next step is going to be to combine like terms. So all that work we did at the beginning of the year is coming back again. So 8x plus 2x is 10x minus 2 equals 3. Our next step is to add 2 to both sides. So 10x is equal to 5. Final step is to divide by 10. So x is equal to 1/2. All right, so now we need to substitute that into our other equation. So we have y is equal to 4x minus 1. So we say y is equal to 4 times 1/2 minus 1. So we took our x, we plugged it in for x. So y equals 2 minus 1. Y is equal to 1. So now we can check our answers to make sure we are correct, and we're going to do that on the next page. So our ordered pairs that we came up with, we said x was 1/2 and y was 1. And now we can verify both of the equations work for both problems. Now this one should work because we just used it to find the y value. So 1 is equal to 4 times 1/2 minus 1. 1 equals 2 minus 1. 1 equals 1. So yes, that works. So we plug it into our second equation. 2 times 1/2 plus 2 times 1 equals 3. Well, 2 times 1/2 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 does in fact equal 3. All right, letter A down below, We have y equals x plus 1 and y equals negative 2x minus 2. So we're going to take x plus 1 and we're going to substitute it for y. So we're going to take out the y. We're going to put x plus 1 in its place. So we have x plus 1 is equal to negative 2x minus 2. We have variables on both sides, so we need to get them to the same side. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So we have 3x plus 1 equals negative 2. Well, we need to get our constants on the same side, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So 3x is equal to negative 3. Our final step, divide by 3, and x equals negative 1. So now we substitute that in for one of our two equations. So I'm going to say y equals negative 1 plus 1. Well, negative 1 plus 1 is just 0. So my ordered pair is negative 1 comma 0. So just like yesterday when we were solving by graphing, we need to identify what is the ordered pair that is our solution. So our answer is this right here, negative 1, 0. You need to write it as an ordered pair. All right. Letter B, we've got y equals negative x plus 8 right there, so we can substitute that in for y right there. So we have negative x plus 3 times negative x plus 8 equals 0. All right, now we need to distribute 3 times negative x and 3 times 8. So we have negative x plus negative 3x plus 24 equals 0. So negative x plus negative 3x combine like terms, so negative 4x plus 24 equals 0. I'm going to add 4x to both sides. So 24 is equal to 4x. Divide by 4, x equals 6. So we plug that into our equation, y equals the opposite of 6. So the x came out, 6 went into its place, so it is opposite of 6. So that negative sign is out in front there. Plus 8. Y is equal to 2. So your ordered pair is 6, comma 2. All right, I want you guys to try letters C and D on your own, and then I will go over it. So letter C, we have negative 5x plus 14 is already solved for us. So we plug that into our equation. We have 2x minus 2 times negative 5x plus 14 equals negative 4. First step, we are going to distribute negative 2 times negative 5 and negative 2 times 14. So 2x plus 10x minus 28 equals negative 4. Combine like terms, 2x plus 10x is 12x. Minus 28 equals negative 4. Add 28 to both sides. 12x equals 24. Divide both sides by 12. X is equal to 2. So now we substitute that into one of our equations. So y equals negative 5 times 2 plus 14. Y equals negative 10 plus 14. Y equals 4. So your ordered pair is 2, comma 4. Okay, letter D. 2y minus 3 equals x. So we know what x is equal to this time. So it doesn't always have to be y that we solve for. So we're going to substitute 2y minus 3 in for x. So we have y minus 2 times the quantity 2y minus 3 equals negative 6. Distribute, negative 2 times 2, negative 2 times negative 3. So we have y minus 4y plus 6 is equal to negative 6. Our next step is going to be to combine like terms. So y minus 4y is negative 3y plus 6 equals negative 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. Negative 3y equals negative 12. Divide both sides by negative 3. Y is equal to 4. So now we're going to substitute that into our equation to get x. So we have 2 times 4 minus 3 is equal to x. 2 times 4 is 8. Minus 3 equals x. 8 minus 3 is 5. So x is 5. Our ordered pair is 5, 4. Okay. Now, what if our equations aren't set up nicely and we don't have something that's already solved for one of the two variables? Well, that means we're going to have to actually solve for it ourselves. So I see that in my two equations, my first equation has coefficients on both x and y. So we would have to be doing some subtraction and division, so that's a lot of work. But I see the equation in my second setup has y all by itself with a coefficient of 1. That's going to be the variable that I want to look for. So our hint is to look for a variable that has a coefficient of 1. That is y. So to get y by itself, we're going to add 3x to both sides of our equation. So now y equals 3x plus 4. So we can follow this and we can substitute. We're going to take 3x plus 4 and plug it in for y. So negative 8x plus 5 times 3x plus 4 equals negative 1. So our first step, distributive property, negative 8x plus 15x plus 20 equals negative 1. Negative 8 plus 15 is 7x plus 20 equals negative 1. Subtract 20 from both sides. 7x is equal to negative 21. Divide both sides by 7. X equals negative 3. So now we are going to substitute negative 3 in for x right there. So we're going to substitute our answer into our original. So y is equal to 3 times negative 3 plus 4. Y is equal to negative 9 plus 4. So y is equal to negative 5. Okay. So our ordered pair is negative 3, negative 5. So we can plug that in and check our answer. So we have negative 8 times negative 3 plus 5 times negative 5. So negative 8 times negative 3, negative times negative is positive, 24. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Positive 24 plus negative 25 is negative 1. So negative 1 equals negative 1. Check. Negative 3 times negative 3 plus negative 5 equals 4. So negative times negative is positive 9 plus negative 5 equals 4. 4 equals 4. Okay. All right, down below we have some more practice problems. So let's do letter A. We have one equation right here where we can get y by itself pretty easily. All we need to do is add 2x to both sides of our equation. So y is going to be equal to 2x plus 3. So we take that, replace it into our second equation. So we have 3x minus 2 times the quantity, 2x plus 3 equals 0. First step is going to be distributive property, 2 times 2, or negative 2 times 2, and negative 2 times 3. So we have 3x minus 4x minus 6 equals 0. 3x minus 4x is negative x minus 6 equals 0. Add 6 to both sides, negative x equals 6. So x equals negative 6. And now we plug that back into our equation. Y is equal to 2 times negative 6 plus 3. So y is equal to negative 12 plus 3. Y equals negative 9. So your ordered pair is negative 6, negative 9. Okay, letter B. That top equation looks like we can solve it pretty easily by just adding x to both sides. So we solved it for y. So y equals x plus 4. So we're going to take that and substitute it in for y right here. Now, negative 2x minus the quantity x plus 4 equals 2. We need to distribute our negative sign. So it's negative 2x minus x minus 4 equals 2. Combine like terms. Negative 2x minus x is negative 3x minus 4 equals 2. Add 4 to both sides. So negative 3x equals 6. Divide by negative 3. X equals negative 2. So we plug in negative 2 to our equation. So y is equal to negative 2 plus 4. Y is equal to 2. So our coordinate is negative 2, comma 2. Want you guys to try letters C and D, and then I'll go over them. All right, so letter C, x looks like we can solve the second equation pretty much by itself. So we're going to subtract 3y from both sides, and x is equal to negative 3y minus 7. All right, so we plug this into our equation. 6y plus 5 times the quantity, negative 3y minus 7 equals negative 8. First step is distribution. 6y plus negative 15y minus 35 equals negative 8. Combine like terms. We have negative 9y minus 35 equals negative 8. Add 35. So we have negative 9y equals 27. So y is equal to negative 3 when we divide both sides by negative 9. So we have our equation. X equals negative 3 times negative 3 minus 7. So x equals 9 minus 7. X equals 2. So my ordered pair is 2, negative 3. Next up, letter D. Looks like we can solve our second equation for x pretty easily by adding 2y to both sides. So we have x is equal to 2y minus 6. So we're going to substitute that for y in our first equation. So we have 7x minus 3 times the quantity, 2y minus 6. Sorry, we're going to substitute that for x. So we have 7 times the quantity, 2y minus 6 minus 3y equals 2. When we distribute, we get 14y minus 42 minus 3y equals 2. Combine like terms, we have 14y and negative 3y, so that's 11y minus 42 equals 2. And I'll just bring my work up to here. So we have 11y minus 42 equals 2. Just rewrote the last step. So we're going to add 42 to both sides. 11y equals 44. So y is equal to 4 when we divide by 11. We're going to substitute that into our original equation for x. We have x equals 2 times 4 minus 6. X equals 8 minus 6. X equals 2. So our equation is 2, 4. Sorry, our solution is 2, 4. All right. Problem number 3 is using systems of equations. So we need to figure out how we can use these. And by doing this, we're going to write 2 equations, and then we're going to work with them. So you pay $22 to rent 6 video games. The store charges $4 for new games and $2 for old games. How many new games did you rent? So we need to define some variables. So I'm going to say x is my new games and y is my old games. So we can write 2 equations from this. One of the equations is going to be about how many we rent. So we rented some number of new games plus some number of old games, and that's going to equal 6. The other thing we know is the rates that each of those get charged. So we know that $4 for new games, so it's 4x, plus $2 for older games, plus 2y equals, you spent $22. So now we have 2 equations. And we can easily solve the first one and solve it for y. So we're going to just subtract x from both sides. So y equals negative x plus 6. So all we did was subtract x from both sides of our equation, moved it over. So now we can substitute that in for y in our equation. So we have 4x plus 2 times the quantity, 6 minus x, or negative x plus 6, equals 22. 4x plus 12 minus 2x equals 22. Our next step, combine like terms. 4x minus 2x is 2x. Plus 12 equals 22. Subtract 12 from both sides. 2x equals 10. Divide by 2. X equals 5. Now, the question we asked at the beginning was, how many new games did you rent? And new games are x. So we are done. We don't need to find y. Don't forget your labels. So we don't need to find the ordered pair on this because we found the information we were looking for. We found how many new games we rented. Although finding how many old games is pretty easy because x, 5 plus y is equal to 6, well, it's got to be 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. So you rented 5 new and 2 old. All right. So the school bookstore sells T-shirts for $8 and sweatshirts for $12. Last month, the bookstore sold 37 T-shirts and sweatshirts combined for a total of $376. We want to know how many T-shirts were sold. So we're going to say X is T-shirts and Y is sweatshirts. Okay, so now we can write two equations. I'm going to write the equation for cost first, so I know it's $8 times the number of T-shirts plus $12 times the number of sweatshirts, and my total sales were $376. My second equation is I know I sold a total of 37 items. So X plus Y equals 37. Those are my two equations. Now, that second one I can solve pretty easily for one of my two variables. So I'm going to, again, subtract X from both sides, and Y is equal to negative X plus 37. Okay, so now we're going to put that into our equation for cost. So we have 8X plus 12 times the quantity, negative X plus 37 equals 376. Distribute 12 times negative X, 12 times 37, so we have 8X minus 12X plus 444 is equal to 376. Next step, combine like terms. 8x minus 12x is negative 4x plus 444 equals 376. So we need to subtract 444 from our both sides. Negative 4x is equal to negative 68. Divide by negative 4. X is equal to 17. Now, X was the number of T-shirts, and we wanted to know how many T-shirts were sold, so we have 17 T-shirts. If I had wanted to know how many sweatshirts, we could take this, plug it back into our equation, and find that we sold 20 sweatshirts, because 20 plus 17 would give us our 37 total. All right, I want you guys to try letter C, which talks about a talent show. So, in a talent show of singing and comedy acts, singing acts are 5 minutes, and comedy acts are 3 minutes. The show had 12 acts total and lasts 50 minutes. How many singing acts and how many comedy acts are in the show? So we need both of our variables here. We need both coordinates of our solution. So we're going to say X is the singing and Y is our comedy. Now, if you defined your variables the other way and you said X was comedy and Y was singing, that's fine. Your answers are just going to be the reverse of what we come up with here. All right, so it is 5 minutes per singing act times the number of singing acts plus 3 minutes for each comedy act times the number of comedy acts, and that is going to equal the 50 minutes that the show was. And we know that the number of singing acts plus the number of comedy acts is equal to 12. So we can solve this for y. So we're going to subtract x from both sides. Y equals negative x plus 12. We can substitute that into our original equation. So we have 5x plus 3 times the quantity, negative x plus 12 equals 50. So 5x minus 3x plus 36 equals 50. Next step, we're going to combine like terms. So 5x minus 3x is 2x, plus 36 equals 50. We're going to subtract 36 from both sides. 2x is equal to 14. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals 7, singing. All right, now we want to know how many comedy acts there were. So we have 7 plus y equals 12. Subtract 7 from both sides, and y is equal to 5 comedy acts. Okay. All right, moving on to our last page of problems. We have solving systems with infinitely many solutions or no solutions. So first, we have our two equations. We have y equals 5x minus 2, and we have 3y minus 15x equals negative 6. So I can substitute 5x minus 2 in for y. So we have 3 times the quantity, 5x minus 2 minus 15x equals negative 6. Our first step is to distribute. So we have 15x minus 6 minus 15x equals negative 6. Our next step, combine like terms. 15x minus 15x is going to be negative 6 equals negative 6. 15 plus negative 15 is 0. So is this true? Does negative 6 equal negative 6? Yes, it does. So this is infinitely many solutions, because if you were to put those both in slope-intercept form, they are the same line. All right. Letter B, we have two equations that are already solved, so we're going to take this and plug it in for that. So we have 4x minus 9 minus 4x equals 6. Combine like terms, 4x and negative 4x, so that is 0. So negative 9 equals 6. Does negative 9 equal 6? No solution. I want you guys to try letters C and D, and then I'll go over them. So letter C, we have 2x plus 1 that we can substitute in for y. So we've got 4x minus 2 times the quantity, 2x plus 1 equals 70. So distribute 4x minus 4x minus 2 equals 70. Combine like terms. 4x minus 4x is 0. Minus 2 is equal to 70. Is that true? No solution. All right. Last problem, letter D. We have solved for x this time. So we're going to substitute that in for x there. So we have 6y plus 2 times the quantity, negative 3y plus 4 equals 8. 2 times negative 3y is negative 6y. 2 times 4 is 8. 6y plus negative 6y is 0. So 8 is equal to 8. Is that true? Yes, it is. So there are infinitely many solutions to that problem. Okay. It's the end of the lesson for today. Make sure you write down any questions you might have over this lesson and circle your level of understanding. Make sure you're being honest with yourself. You know, Mrs. Zirzo and I use this as a tool to see who might need a little bit of extra help. So please be honest with that and let us know if you are struggling on a lesson. It's the only way you're ever going to get better is to ask questions and to practice. So in order for us to help answer those questions, you need to tell us. Make sure you write a summary in your own words of what we did in the lesson today. And this is the second of 3 methods that we're going to learn to solve equations or systems of equations with. We will learn the next one tomorrow. So I hope you are eagerly awaiting the installment on elimination. All right, have a great night, guys.